Good day, everyone. My name is Gerhard. I'm the Director of Tax and Compliance, and today I'm just sitting with Francios Herbst, Director of House of Growth. Thank you for joining us today, Francois. We are talking a bit about Section 12J and the stopping of it coming now June. So yeah, Francois, just give us a bit of background who you are. I think for a lot of people, it's the first time I've seen you.
Oh, thank you for hosting me, Gerhard. Great to be here. I'm a qualified CA, but I venture into venture capital and private equity. So we're in finance business, but yeah, we love investment, and we encourage South African entrepreneurs to get involved in entrepreneurship. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we would love to support entrepreneurs if it's on finance or whatever the case can be. So yeah, we're just very excited about South Africa and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, talking about being an entrepreneur and investment, obviously a big part of that was the Section 12J. We just had the budget announcement. Mr. Tito Mboweni saying that this will expire now come 30th of June 2021. I know you are a big full stander for Section 12J. So maybe just as a start, before we get into what it means, maybe if you can give us a bit of background. What is Section 12J? What does it mean? How do we use it? Maybe in a proper example. And what was the goal of this whole 12J initiative?
Yeah. I think one of the most often questions I do get is they ask, why would SARS have a section like this? It doesn't make sense to them. I think one of the things is everyone sees SARS as this bad guy always just on your case for everything, but actually they are there to help South Africa and our economy as well. Yes, they are collecting revenue, but they are also gatekeepers to South Africa and our economy. And what we're trying to do is this Section 12J is referring to the Section 12J in the Income Tax Act. And what they wanted to do initially was to encourage private sector to become involved in job creation. And for long and still, our biggest employer is the government. And they looked for a scheme. They brought it from the UK to here, where they encourage the private sector to be involved in job creation. So they give an incentive to people, anyone investing into these funds, to deduct this from their income and therefore paying less taxes or getting some of their taxes back. And these funds, which is actually a company, then uses this money to invest in startups. And their sole aim was to create jobs. And that is, so the guys willing to take the risk, get a tax deduction, and then investing into this will create companies, support companies, and then in the end of goal would be to create jobs.
So just looking quickly at the speech, you said there was about 11 billion invested into 360 odd 12J companies, with only 37% of those companies adding new jobs. So do you think it's fair that they say, listen, it's not getting to the goal that they set in terms of job creation, but maybe just getting more tax deductions for the richer companies out there?
Look, yeah. These funds or companies has 3 years to deploy this money. So as soon as you get the money, you have 3 years to deploy it. Over the last 2 years, when the sunset laws were more coming to the front, people actually only starting to invest this money. So I believe more than half of the money invested into 12J only came into 12Js within the last 18 months to 24 months. So that money still needs to be deployed. So that reason by itself, I think, is short-sighted, as I think that money would still be deployed. As the funds, if they do not deploy this money within 3 years, they do get penalties. So it's not a fact, they can't keep the money forever in a money market account. They will lose out on it. So the money would have been invested into companies, and it would have created jobs. Now more than ever with COVID, I think in the companies we have invested throughout the last year or so, we have seen the effect our cash had on those companies, and they actually could survive COVID and are now in a strong position to keep on growing, where a lot of companies are falter because they do not have access to funding. So I've seen firsthand the effect of funding like this can have for a company, and even if it through COVID just survived, now they have the opportunity to thrive and create more jobs. Yeah.
So I mean, the deadline is now, 30 June 2021. It's almost like 4 months from now until it's finished. Would you say there's still an opportunity for someone to get in? Would you still, advocate maybe looking for something like that if you're in the space, or looking to maybe get a tax deduction and helping someone else out, in this 4 months that we have left?
Yeah, look, Gerhard, I always, anyone that before the announcement came, everyone asked me my opinion on it. Are they going to extend it or not? I've seen myself the effect it has on entrepreneurship and in job creation, and it is massive. So yes, I think it should have been extended, but our treasury we as country can't afford to allow people to deduct anything from taxes. We just don't have the budget for it. So I can understand why they decided to close this opportunity for people to get a valid tax deduction. People do not have to structure anything or jump through hoops or anything. It's as simple as I subscribe to this, I invest into this company, and I get it as a deduction. So it's without anyone restructuring or anything. It's just a plain, simple, vanilla investment, and I get a tax deduction. Unfortunately, we can't afford it. So I think for individuals who want to use it, now it's your last time. Now it's a case of, if you don't invest now, you're going to miss it. So you don't have next year or maybe next year. So yeah, I'm sad that they didn't extend it, or disappointed. I'm disappointed they didn't extend it. But in the end of, we now have clarity. Every year there was discussion: are they going to extend it? Are they not? Are they going to extend it? Now we have clarity. Yes, I do. I thought they're going to, I hope they're going to extend it. I didn't think they would, but I hope they would. But now we have clarity. Now we can look to close down to know this is the amount of money we got in by June, and now we need to deploy. I think I just want to address the issue of, after June, these funds do not disappear. These funds do not cease to exist. These funds do not lose their money or anything. The investor into these funds just loses his tax deduction. So these funds will keep on investing, will keep on looking for people to invest in a fund as a venture capital firm, because not all venture capital firms are 12Js. Yes, all 12Js are venture capital firms, but not all venture capital firms are 12Js. So the venture capital space is still there. People can still invest in these funds, and these funds will still invest in qualifying companies. But yes, the investor into these funds will not get a tax deduction. So you're going to lose out on the tax deduction, but these funds will remain and be sustainable and do great investment and creating jobs in South Africa.
So what is your motivation for investing in these funds bar the tax deduction? Is it just doing good and maybe adding to a company that you believe in and creating jobs, or are there any other positives for you to try and invest in one of these?
Look, it is about exchanging passive money that's currently in the market to active money. There's people that sits on a pile of cash or has some cash available. They maybe for what reason do not want to put it on the JSE in the stock exchange. I myself is not a firm believer as for RAs, as I can't tie my money down till I'm 55 years old. The world is just moving too fast. For these are alternative investments for somebody having cash, want to invest it for a shorter period of time, let's say 5 to 10 years, and then want to exit his investment with some cash better than money market, and his money is not tied down as with RA or pension fund till you're 55 years. So you have this fixed flexibility. So there will always be this pool of investors looking for alternative investments. who do have access to cash and want some more flexibility as to pension funds. We as fund see every day we see a lot of opportunities, and opportunities will keep on coming. And if the economy starts growing again, as I'm sure it will, then more and more people will need these funds. So there will always be an active market between individuals having passive investments who want to change it to active investment, and you'll have people wanting this. And we are the conduit to make a match between these two and make sure that all the due diligence are done before investing into companies, having that security for the investors investing into these companies.
All right. My last thing I just wanted to pick your brain about is that let's say now come end of June, is there any other investment or thing that you're gonna kind of look into for investors to try and move from 12J to maybe something else? Maybe that's on the horizon, or do they just continue with these venture capitals without getting the added bonus of the tax deduction?
Look, I think the alternative to this would be people investing into pension funds or RAs. I think this would be the same profile as people wanting to mine Bitcoin and who just have cash and want to seek opportunity that's not the old way of doing it. I can't see our strategy changing fundamentally. We are actively engaging with individuals who we know wants to use this tax benefit before the end of June, and we are open to taking in investments till the last day. For us, as a strategy of investing in companies would remain the same. We will look for the same yields, the same type of entrepreneurs, because the entrepreneur itself is as important as the business case itself. If you can't trust the entrepreneur, then you're flushing money down the drain. So the entrepreneur who's running the business is the same. So our business model is not changing as such. I think the scope of investors investing into these funds will just change. The one thing I want to mention is with 12Js coming to an end, we will see a lot of individuals or companies who are wanting to use the scheme for taxes will not invest anymore. And that will just bring our sector that has grown the last few years quite tremendously, it will bring it to a halt. We as a sector, venture capital as a sector is quite in its infancy stages if you compare it to the likes of the UK and the USA. But we've seen great strides in South Africa venture capital sector over the last few years. And I'm just disappointed that we will see that this growth in our maturity will not continue. We've seen great investments from Knife Capital and the likes that's starting to exit their first venture capital deals. And now we only get to see the full cycle of venture capital, where you initially take a rookie entrepreneur who's needing funding, you fund him, you walk a path with him, and 5 years down the line, you exit from him to a IPO or a private equity firm or to a bigger VC. So we only get to see the benefits and the life cycle of venture capital now, and we're going to lose that traction because 3 years down the line, if other guys starting to exit their deals, then we're only going to start seeing what the whole cycle of it. So yeah, I think I'm disappointed of stopping this in that sense, not necessarily the sense of us as fund that needs to change direction or change how we do business, because we don't. Investors have till June to invest, otherwise they can continue investing, otherwise they lose their tax benefit. But we as maturity to invest in companies and help them through a cycle, I think we're going to lose some momentum there, and that is definitely disappointing for me.
Just last point. Do you think after 3 years, when we start seeing the impacts and non-impacts, do you think this is not necessarily like a closed book? They can just come and review and say, well, what 12J offered was good, and maybe we should just bring it back. Yeah,
Gerhard, I think there will be some guys pushing for it. It's a great investment. I think something similar to this would come in the future again, because there's definitely an impact that's being made currently to retain jobs as we're going through a pandemic in the world, and in the future to thrive and create jobs. So a scheme like this or something similar to this, I hope to see in the near future again. At this stage, government just need to balance our fiscal. So, but as soon as we starting to see the South African entrepreneurship prosper, which is hopefully soon, I think schemes like that would come back.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us today, Francios. It's good to have you and talk a bit about this. And we look forward to having you on in the future for a little bit more of, looking into investments and all those sort of things.
Oh, great. I'll look forward to being back.
Great. So anyone, if you want more information, you can like and subscribe. Also, the buttons will be there. Our websites will be with the link below. If you want to speak to Francios or myself, we'll have a contact form there as well. You can fill in and we'll get into contact with you. Until next time, we'll see you.